Ulonga tabati yada to ye kuma da ifa. Inu to ye ko je love ibipa. Oba tala, oba takutakun. Songo eshu, ogun oya Oshun. Kini sheshe, ton she nile yo. O jelo jara.
Hola, peace and blessings. Peace and blessings. Welcome to another episode of the African Spirituality Experience. I am your host, Orisha Bami, and today we're joined, by none other than our distinguished community elder, the Oloye Baba IFA Karade. Alafia, Baba, how you doing? Peace and blessings, Baba.
Peace and blessings, brother. Peace and blessings.
Yes, sir.
Right.
How you doing this evening on this good, what is it, Thursday night, 25, man. How you holding up? What you got going on over there in your corner of the universe, Baba?
Man, just looking at, everybody else looking at 2025. I'm watching everybody watching, time on, and
yes, sir.
it's a beautiful thing, give thanks, give praises, and we humbly bow before the essence of time, no matter how we look at it or perceive it, it's still time. And it's about time, for some serious things to start happening right here, right now. Okay. So it's a thing, man. Peace to all the people out there, all the people must come together. All the people must make a stand. All the people must be together. Live harmoniously on sacred land. Ashe.
Oh, I know that's right. That's what's up. But yeah, man, it's definitely you said different times and different folks, because I know some people are screaming it's New Year's and some people saying the New Year don't start for another couple of months. So I think that's kind of like the flat earthers versus the round earthers kind of debate, is what it sounds like to me.
What happened was the New Year was always for hundreds and hundreds of years in April. And it wasn't until one of the popes, like in the 1500s, for whatever reason, moved it to January. And all of his cronies, all of his boys was like, well, whoever still wants to call it in April, like April 1st,
right, we're
going to call them fools. And that's how that fools came along. But that wasn't until like 1580 something. It hadn't even been that long. It's just like saving time, man. That didn't come along until Ben Franklin in the 1700s. Not every country practices daylight savings time.
Right.
Somebody gets their idea and they push it because they got position and power, and then it takes over. You see? So it's time, don't care what we call it. It's going to be time.
Good. Yes, sir.
So, yeah, bro. So
yes,
we're like I say, somebody asked me, Baba, when's your New Year? Which one do you pick?
Right,
what I mean?
Right.
Was it you? So I said my birthday, man. That's the only one that concerns me. When I circle around the sun, that's okay. That's a ring. Okay, I circle around again. That's a ring. I've been doing it for 72 years. People watch the ball fall. I'm watching wisdom fall. I'm watching understanding fall. I'm watching knowledge fall. You know what I mean? Because that's what keeps stepping. Yeah. Peace up, man.
Absolutely. No, I feel you on that, man. Same thing with me. I can't remember the last time I watched the ball fall, because shoot, I would say probably since like 2015 and 2016, I think. Every year when I bring it in at my shrine, a vast majority of times at the ancestral shrine, because shout out to one of my grandmothers, her birthday is on New Year's. So I'm like, checking out with the ancestors, and bringing them, wishing her a happy New Year. I mean, a happy birthday. So it's like, that's kind of how I've been doing it for the last few years. So, and this year I had a lot going on, man. I'm trying to feed them and getting, working with the Orishas and all that. It was a lot going on, but it was cool. I definitely appreciate it. And I feel like the reciprocity has definitely been, ebbing and flowing. It's been a really positive, powerful ebb and flow in regards to, the reciprocity of giving, to to the spirit, and to the Gungun, great God of heaven, Olamare, the Orishas, Ifa, et cetera. And then too, before we get into it, let me do what I always do, is to give a shout out to the tribe, man. Tribe out there tribing it up as usual. Shout out to the new subscribers. Some brothers stopped through and sharing love today, I think, and yesterday, in regards to the content and just appreciation. Appreciate your appreciation. So hopefully, y'all are checking it out. Y'all are watching today's live stream. But I definitely want to give a huge shout out to our tribe who've been tribing, from day one, our tribe who came in maybe day 71, and the ones who came yesterday. It's definitely a lot of love and appreciation. We appreciate all y'all. For the private community members who we chopped up with the other day, shout out to y'all. Appreciate y'all stopping through, sharing, showing love and sharing feedback on different ways that we can kind of start this year off, and make things happen. We're gonna kick it off in true Ase fashion. So we're gonna make it do what it do. So I look forward to seeing y'all again. More than likely this weekend, I'm gonna put something together for us to tribe it up. So I appreciate everybody, man, all the love and support. So with that, bye-bye. How you looking at getting this thing cracking with this 2025?
Well, I'm doing the like Sankofa thing, tell you the truth, man. Because see, looking forward is a progressive statement, regardless of when it's carved out in the society, that we are under the auspices of. You understand? So no matter where we are in the diaspora, and no matter what time we say, all right, this is the new year, it's always like the tree that branches upward, but simultaneously the roots go deeper. So it's kind of hard to move forward without also conceptually moving backward. And the word I'm going to coin here is Sankofa. Okay. And the Sankofa bird looking over its back. Okay. Not because it's retrograde, not because it's stuck in the past, but because there's a realization that to move forward, one must carry the essence of the past along with them. This whole notion of, separate, a thick line between the dualities, quote unquote. Oh, it's night or it's day. It's black or it's white. It's up or it's down. It's looking forward, it's looking back. See, once you hit a certain kind of plane of perceiving, we start to understand that it's not separate, that it's flowing. It's the kind of that one motion, different degrees of the same color, so to speak. So I'm looking at January 1st. Okay. 1804, independence of Haiti. Okay. I'm looking at January 1st, Sudan in the motherland. Okay. Gains independence in 1956. Okay. I'm looking back at the victories, and especially in respect to independence. Okay. So these are powerful statements that are right within our reach. 1804, 1956. We're not talking about ancient times right here, right now. Okay. So I'm looking at what it is that we could benefit from in terms of, we're moving forward. I want to do this in 2025. But the question is always going to be, what are you bringing from the past to propel you into the future? Because if you're just looking ahead of yourself without, again, taking into consideration, you can move your face forward, but your back is moving as well. Okay. Everything we have is designed to move forward. Our feet, Okay, well, our face, everything is moving forward, but it is not a simple one movement kind of moving, if you will. Okay, the mechanics of it require that we have a back and a backbone. Okay, so in summation, it's imperative that we look back in order to move forward. And we look at it not just in terms of our history, but in terms of our marketing as merchants, in terms of our psychological dimensions as philosophers, as deep thinkers, who, okay, Dr. Cress Welsing passed on this day. The ISIS papers, are we looking back to her work in order to move forward with even Ifa and Isheshe? You see? So all of what's happening yesterday is a reflection of what's happening today, which is a reflection of what's happening in the future. Kenya just opened up its motorcycle building factory at all the whole continent of Africa. Okay, we got the people in Kenya, battery operated motorcycles, man, and they're like, you know what? Because we're tired of depending on the Western nations. You know, all over Africa, you got mega churches, people buying warehouses and putting churches in it. Kenya is saying, we're going to stop that. We're going to put people to work in factories that build our cars and build our motorbikes, because that's how people get around, you know, on their little scooters and motorbikes. But they got it going and it looks nice. And in closing, you know, I'm looking at Burkina Faso with President Ibrahim, okay, Traore, okay, who is banning European wear for schools. The students are dressing in their quote unquote traditional cloth. And you know how the English people have to have the wigs and whatnot when they're in court? He iced, said, you're not going to be dressing like them people up in here and in my court.
I know that's right.
So, you know, you know, that's where I'm coming from. I'm looking back to move forward. I'm just not, you know, forward. And I'm looking at merchants. I'm looking at political. I'm looking at philosophers. Malcolm stated, you know, and then I'm gonna step back. He has a religious philosophy. He has an economic philosophy. And most importantly, he has a personal philosophy. Oh, and see, we don't generally speak of philosophical, you know, realities and constructs. You know, everybody want to be spiritual and religious, but without a philosophical basis moving forward, okay, it's just regurgitation. I mean, I'm just, you know, trying to nicely call it what it is. Okay, but 2025 is going to be about changing, you know, concrete changes, because we're facing concrete situations. Ashe.
I say, oh no, I agree. And listen, and shout out to Burkina Faso, man. Like I said, they're doing some big things over there. I'm here for it. I love to see it. And It's funny when you were talking about like moving in the right direction and just different directions. It was that quote that came from me. I can't remember where it's from. I want to say it might be Haiti, but it's like, you know, a dog has 4 legs, but it can only move in one direction. You know what I'm saying? So it's like that's real. And I feel like that's where we are now. Like we need to have the tunnel vision to only move in one direction, and that's forward. You know what I mean? Forward and up, you know, and out, expanding, you know, inner vision, understanding, overstanding, outerstanding, and understanding of what direction we're going in and what we're going there for and what we're going to do, you know, as we travel and traverse in that direction. So I'm here for it, Baba. I'm definitely down for the cause, man. I'm ready to get it cracking for sure.
Right. Come on now, then bring it. Let's see that that 2025 journal, man. I mean,
yeah, listen, look, I got to put another link up. I got a new link up. I got to put up there. I'll put it up in the comments for the download for the new one. And then with that too, I got some dope presentations that I'm locking in and I'm wrapping up to get ready to do. Probably, like I said, this weekend. I'm thinking maybe Saturday, based off of the journal, but also bringing about like a real clear direction, like you said, in regards to Isheshe and Ifa, and how we can kind of tie them both together as we utilize the journal to kind of create that game plan, to create that roadmap. So let's just use football for example, right? I don't know, I haven't been following it like I used to, but let's just say I think the Bills are doing good this year. So let's just say if they hypothetically they make it to the playoffs and then to the Super Bowl, well, I guarantee you from the beginning of training camps, their coach already was prepared for different types of special plays or different types of offensive and defensive strategies that he would use at the end of the season if they made it to the Super Bowl. You know what I mean? So it's like, for me, I'm looking at the journal as being our playbook for us to make it, from day one, of 2025 to go through, to the end of 2025 to make it to our own personal Super Bowl. You know what I mean? To make it to our own personal Super Bowl championship in regards to how we put together a phenomenal year of performance, a phenomenal year of execution, a phenomenal year of progress, in that right direction. And so it's been amazing. And it's funny because I remember telling you the other day, it's like when I think it was day 15 and 16, maybe 14, 15, 16, but like that, the last few days of TAWI Day, it's just, I don't know where it came from, but spirit was on me, spirit and heavy. Like I'm talking about, it's funny because I really feel like the last 3 or 4 days, I spent more time on the mat probably since I came off the mat. Literally just tapped in with spirit, man. It's been not short of a phenomenal, just an energy transfer, energy exchange. And it's like, it's to the point where it's like, wow. I was chopping up with a brother last night about how it's almost like, the best way to describe it, I don't want to reference the Matrix too much because I feel like I reference it a lot, but at the same time, it's a good reference point for people who have seen it. But it's like being in the Matrix when Neo was slow, when he finally figured out that he was the one and he slowed down and he was able to block all the bullets and all the shots and the jabs that they was throwing out. He was able to like just bob and weave them real slow. It's like that's where I feel like the combination of meditation and E5, and the activation and the execution of working with it has kind of brought me to that moment where I'm like, yo, I was ordering something online today, and I think the price was like $8.50, and I'm sitting there thinking in my head like, okay, so what Odu would that be? You know what I'm saying? So it's just like I'm just looking at how to bring the numbers, no matter what the situation is, like how the numbers are speaking to me, and not even just from the symbolism of the Odu, but also astrology. Because if you think about how astrology aligns with what we deal with here on the planet, it's huge. Yeah. Like even when you talk about the moon, like I don't know how many people that really know the significance of like when we have a full moon, what that does to the planet, with what's going on with the planet and like, the mind, the Ori, and anybody out here that's worked in a hospital, I know y'all know, especially if you worked in like the mental health wards or, you know what I mean? Where people come in for mental health conditions because they have, I can't remember the name of it, but there's a condition that they call where they kind of, medical workers, they don't talk down on people, but it's kind of like there's like an inside joke that they have where it's kind of like the Gremlins. You know how that movie, The Gremlins, where it was all cute and cuddly, during the regular daytime hour, but you mess around and wait till after midnight or let them get hit with some water and they turn into the gargoyle. You know what I'm saying? Like and so that's what some of the people, deal with those challenges with mental health. But the moon has a significant impact on that, so it's like, it's definitely a lot of alignment, I feel like, and it's definitely divine alignment that I feel like that's going on right now, especially coming into this 9 year.
Yeah. Well, I think that's powerful, brother. Especially when you make reference to the Matrix, keeping in mind who wrote it,
Yeah, Sophia Stewart. Shout out to Sophia Stewart.
Yes, and same way we're moved by spirit to do what we do, I'm sure she had to have been moved by spirit to do what she did and then put it in a context, of today, where the majority of people could like grasp it, but the same theme, the same, construct is human. It's the human condition, and it's physical but yet metaphysical. you know? So when we reference the matrix, you know, we are referencing an ancestral statement.
Mm-hmm.
No,
Yes, sir.
because you know the movie people didn't write the book. You know,
Sure didn't.
they,
They stole that
they
Queen's work.
snatched it from public domain. You know, which is criminal, which is why they were taken to court. But you know, I'm just saying, you know, back to that. Even your reference to the moon, man, that's powerful because the moon has power over the waters. You know, the whole, and we're how much percent water? You know, 70, 75%. So when that moon is out, it's pulling on the tides. And if you're not grounded, you know, when you use the word, you know, if you're not rooted, then it can have an effect on you. Well, it does have an effect on you. It's just how well you can counterbalance or channel it to do something greater, you know, like meditating hard during full moons, or, you know, to say, you know, taking those long walks on a full moon and just absorbing, you know, the power of the moon, because the moon's always, you know what I mean? It's just conditions that, you know, we have to balance out when certain other conditions affect, if it's quarter moon, half moon, you know, full moon, you know?
Yes, sir.
And that's profound, brother. And people talk about Yemoja, you know, they want to talk about the ocean, they want to talk about Olokun. Right. Well, but you can't do it without making that connection to the moon.
Oh, yeah.
No?
Yeah.
Super moon, you know?
Yeah. And Olokun has been very active in my the last week or so, man. I've been seeing a lot of Olokun speaking through the old dudes, you know, like some powerful ones. I can't remember which exact Odu it was, but there was one that came up this week when I was doing some work, and it was the one where and I know I'm pretty confident you're gonna know it. I don't know, it slipped my mind, but it was the one where Olokun was advised to make sacrifice to Orumila. He went to Orumila to get divination, and Orumila advised him to make abo, or make sacrifice, and he did. And then that's when and he told him he needed to do it as soon as possible. So Olokun did it, and then that's when Olokun, you know, received all the wealth, you know, from being obedient and doing the sacrifice like he was advised by Orumila. And then that's how, you know, he became like wealthy and the owner of all the waters and all, you know what I mean, all the ocean and everything in it. It was a very powerful, profound message, man. It was just dope because it tied into different things that was really going on, you know, in the environment. So it's just like, and then to know, you know, all the other things that's going on in regards to, like I say, being a 9 year is a powerful year, because you're talking about now, just like you were saying with the sun, with the moon, and how impactful that is. Well, tell the sun, we all know how impactful the sun is. And then when we talk about 9 ether, you know, 9 ether beings, people of the sun, whose hair, you know, our hair grows up towards the sun, and that coil, you talk about a whole nother level of energy and a whole nother level of power in Ashe. And then we got, you know, you know, the transformation aspect, you know, the death of the old and the end with the new, the birth of the new, you know. So we're going through that whole paradigm shift with that aspects of it too. So it's definitely a lot going on and coming into fruition this 2025, and I'm here for it, man. I'm definitely looking forward to seeing all the transformations, all the activations, the crystallizations, and the manifestations. We're here for it. We're here now, family. We're here now.
Yeah. So, you know, and in harmony, you know, what you're saying, my brother, is that, you know, we learn from the old to bring about the new. You know, there's you know, an overriding notion that we've been educated with en masse, all of us, and especially back in my day when you know, information wasn't as accessible, you know, but nor was social media and mass media. Okay, so we're kind of stuck in the middle of not knowing and nobody even thinking about knowing. All right, but the whole thing is that, from a psychological point, okay, that if we attempt to not learn from the past, you know, as a general statement, you know, then the impact of Ifa is diminished. literally, okay? Because all of what was transcribed, was written, okay, was preceded by oral traditions, okay? And those oral traditions go back 6,000 years easy, okay? And we're talking about BC, not BCE, before Christianity. We're talking about 6,000 years, which now we got 2,025 years. So that means we can balance it out to like 8,000 years ago. So if we have a mindset, which most of us do, I mean, let's face it, and it took me a while to break through the time barrier, okay? And that, okay, we're going to let go of the old in order to transform ourselves, you know, into something new, okay? We have all our resolutions, okay? And we're just going to start something new. Most people don't even live out their resolutions for the first 30 days, okay? And what I'm sharing is that part of that reason is because we're not taking into consideration, the value of sacred ancient knowledge. We're not looking and I continually reference, we're not looking at modeling ourselves after our empires, okay? We're not looking at modeling ourselves after Benin. We're not looking at modeling ourselves, you know, after the Oyo empires. We're not looking at modeling ourselves, basically, anybody. So for all the forward moving we're doing, because we've been somewhat conditioned to distance ourselves from the past, from my humble observation, which leads to my humble opinion, is that we are not becoming stronger. Okay. We're not becoming stronger, you know. So we're going to, you know, value Ifa and Orisha for the solid, okay, ground upon which we walk, okay, and we can move forward. Okay, we can't move forward in quicksand. We can think we're moving forward in any other mental state, but look at the literacy rates. Look at, you know, the death rates. Look at even the shootings and the murder of us on us, and for all of that, Ifa Isheshe people, what are we bringing from the past to brighten 2025? Okay, not what are we, you know, we're just going to leave it behind. No, we're going to integrate it, if I dare use that word. You know what I mean? We're going to mix it together. You know what I mean? We're going to make it a oneness of movement, you know? And we're going to, well, at least I'm going to start referring back, you know, to the ISIS papers. Going to start referring back to Malcolm X and his view of philosophy, because see, that's where I am. That's where I'm coming from. So the philosophical stair steps that will lead to tomorrow, to the stepping into tomorrow, you know? So yeah, my brother, you know, that's where I stand firm. And in closing, just start looking at how we handled ourselves as merchants.
Oh yeah.
You know, how did we trade better on the Oyo River? You know, how did we travel with commerce on the Nile? What was our trade like? Who were we trading with, and why? What, you know, what built us economically? You know, we can't distance ourselves from that, because other than that, we're just dancing around the fire, you know, spouting off this and that. Meanwhile, you know, still kind of at the bottom of a whole lot of barrels. 2025, gotta Got to take a good, strong look at yesterday in order to step into tomorrow.
Yes, sir. We definitely gonna do that. We here. And it's funny because like what you're saying now, I could see it too with regards to the monumental success that we had, along the Nile, because that's one thing, you can deny the lie, but you can't hide the truth. And as long as those great pyramids over there in Kemet are still standing, the legacy that we have and have always had has dominated this planet since we've been here, which has been hundreds of thousands of millions of years, you know what I'm saying, which is documented when we're talking about, going into history's archives with the anthropology, and the oldest human remains ever found of a melanated womb man. So therefore, the originator by every stretch of the imagination. So it's like, and we've shown it at the very highest level that has not been duplicated or replicated since then. You know what I mean? So it's like the only people who can truly do that is us, and that's but us tapping in and using what we have, in regards to who and what we are. And that's where, we here now. That's where that comes from. We got, we got to take this thing up, man, for real, because it's definitely time for sure.
Yeah. All right. Where's that planner, brother?
I gotta pull it up. But I definitely put the link in there, family, for we got any new tribe members who hasn't gotten it yet. The link for the Ase free journal is in the chats, and it should be in there. If it's not, I'll put it in there again. And I didn't have it ready to pull up, but I definitely can get it and pull it up. But I'm definitely looking forward to it because I want to get into like the meditation aspects of it, but also the visualization aspects of it. Because like I said, it's like getting in a car, you got to have the GPS in order to get to where you're going if you're going to foreign territory. So for some of us, just doing something on a daily basis is foreign territory, because that's one of the hardest things about anything is just being consistent and disciplined. You know what I mean? And it's like, I've seen that in so many different phases of my life. It's been so many different ways that I've needed to be consistent in different areas or different avenues. And until I was able to get that, I wasn't able to crack the code. You know what I mean? And so I was just sharing this weekend, like with my journey, right? In regards to divination, from the time of coming out of the room, from learning, from studying, from training, etc., I never had the opportunity to have a client or have anybody to divine for besides like family, friends of that nature. But as soon as I was able to kind of like really get it, like get the process of it to the point where, I was comfortable with it and I felt like it was accurate and on point, that's when it started coming. That's when the people, started coming. And then that's when it just picked up, with having the opportunity to do that. Same thing with EBOs, you know what I'm saying? Like, it was like before I knew the process and the journey, I never had anything waiting for me to do. But then once it came and I was able to be consistent and dedicated and disciplined with the practice of it, that's when I feel like, the Orisha opened up the door or the opportunity, to crack the code to get to do that type of work. So it's like, and that's with anything. I mean, even playing basketball. I remember as a freshman, I was proud because I was like the shortest dude in our school that could dunk. You know what I'm saying? Like, I think at the time I might have been like 5'9", but I was dunking with, like 2 or 3 dudes in the school that could dunk back then that were freshmen, and it was in the 6'5", 6'6" range. You know what I'm saying? So it was just like, but that came from the practice. It came from playing ball all day, every day, all night, like pretty much the majority of my young adolescent life. Like, that's all I did. So it's like, eventually when you put enough time into anything, you're going to get to the point where you're going to crack the code. You're going to be able to kind of get into that spot where you can really get it cracking with whatever it is that you're establishing, that time that you're putting into. And speaking of which, somebody like yourself, like there's things that you break down when we're talking about that I've never heard of before. You know what I'm saying? But it's like, you've been doing it for how long, Baba? Is it 40 or 50 years you got in the tradition?
Let's just round it off to 45, my brother.
45, okay. 45. That's how long I've been here. So you've been working with this system for as long as I've been here. So therefore, it's like there's things that I ask or things that I want to know or need to know that I can't find anywhere. And I ask you about it. It's like, you got to answer like that. I'm like, damn. I'm like, why didn't I think about that? You know what I'm saying? How did I not figure that out? But it's like, I wasn't supposed to, because I don't have enough reps to be able to figure, you know what I'm saying? Like, to crack the code like that fast.
Yeah.
So.
But see, that goes back to what we're talking about, bro. Now here I am, an elder. I can say I'm an elder at this ripe young age of 72. Having been
72, that's all.
Yeah, I'm still a baby, man. I'm still like, which way is that way? You know what I mean? But going back and struggling, the reason why I've been able to achieve is because, like yourself, you know, I hooked up that mule every day. You know what I mean? I got out in them fields every day. And whether the rain came or the rain didn't come, whether the crop was enough to harvest or whether we went hungry, you know what I mean? It was still, you get out there, you hook up that mule, and you learn how to commune with the earth. You learn how to read the signs, you know, and you learn how to take care of that mule and that plow, you know. So, you know, because everything depends on it. Family, community, nation. You understand? And so we learn because we got our hands in the soil, you know, and that's how I learned, because it was very difficult for a quote unquote African American to kind of break into and you know, snatch information and then sit down and try to work this thing out and have nothing left but the grace of Ifa and the grace of Isheshe to say, okay, like you said, you cracked the code, you got it now. You tested us and we tested you. Right? So now let's move mountains. You understand? So here we go. You know, but my point is that you can reach back 40 something years and get the information from me. Then you move yourself forward. But when we don't have elders amongst us, that's missing. I keep talking about like the chunks that have been snatched away from our very bodies. Okay, we're walking around heartless. We're walking around, you know, brainless, mindless. You know, we're walking around, you know, without any ability to digest because of the toxicity and the poisons. Nobody really seems to even care what you eat, what you learn, who you learn it from, and what their agenda is. You see? So that all of that, you know, kind of coincides with the core of our discussion here today. You know, you reach back in order to move forward. And in order to do that, you need to have people who've been there, who've done that, who've attained the wisdom in the most difficult of ways. Wisdom does not come easy.
No, sir.
So I give thanks. I give thanks for, you know, the essence of Egun, the essence of Orisha, the essence of Orunmila, the essence of Olodumare, that I've survived it. I'm here. I'm still vibrant. I just churned out some work this morning. You understand? Still writing things out. And I'm here for you, you know, and all the other, you know, bobbers and ears, and even the all buried, the people who aren't initiated, but they, you know, they're on the cusp and they're trying to figure this out. And like you said, from mouth to ear, not just what's on social media, you know, people, you know, getting their stuff all confused and crazy.
We got to get into it too, but yes, absolutely, Baba. And like finding, you know, things online. And don't get me wrong, there's a lot of powerful books that has amazing information in it, but there's also some that are used, you know, that are put out by culture vultures. And I'm not going to like name any of them, but there's some authors on Amazon who, it's kind of like YouTube, how you have a YouTube channel, it's a faceless channel. And so you don't never know like who really runs the channel, but you know, you can see the content. So there are authors out there who are putting out like faceless pen names, you know what I mean, and writing Ifa Isheshe books, and they have never probably even been in a you know, or in a botanica before, but they found an avenue where they feel like they can capitalize off of people's ignorance, you know, and I know of one of those that's out there. It's terrible because I've seen the work that they're putting on like Amazon, you know, other websites, what have you, and it's like some of the information that they're putting in that work is the furthest away from what, you know, Ifa Isheshe tradition is actually about. And so, you know, we just got to be very wary. And it goes back to the last call we had before the new year began. But when we were talking about people with receipts, you know, and having receipts and being able to check, you know what I mean, the spiritual credit score of, you know, the people that we're getting our information from, the people that we're getting our divinations from, the people that we're getting our prescriptions and our medicines from, or whatever the case may be. You know, you just want to be really diligent in regards to who you're allowing into your sacred space, because once something or someone is in that space, you know, telling what they could do to contaminate it, you know what I mean, or what they can kind of unleash in that space. And if you're someone who has no information or no real true deep knowledge of what is going on and what is possible, you could really put yourself in a really, really tough spot in regards to what control or access someone can have over you by having the ability to tap into, you know, your auric space or your sacred space in regards to whatever you have going on in your life. So it's something that, you know, we take pride here with sharing with people, you know, how to kind of, I guess, maybe vet, you know, who and what you're dealing with, but also to make sure, you know, do your research, do your own due diligence, because I was having this conversation many times with several different people over the past week since the last episode we had about how necessary it is for us to always continuously grow in the process of reinitiating ourselves. And you're a big proponent of that, talking about reinitiating ourselves. You know what I mean? Because everything is an initiation in some aspect, regardless. I don't care if you're going to elementary school and you want to play pee-wee football. Well, okay, well, you got to go out there and try and make the team. You ain't gonna just say I'm playing football. No, you got to actually make the team. And, you know, depending on the coaches, if you're not good enough, you ain't gonna make it. You know what I'm saying? But it's like, at the end of the day, if you do make it, well, you got initiated onto that team because you went through, you made the sacrifices, you put in the work, you gave the offerings of your body, your time, your sweat, you know what I'm saying, your equity, and then you were able to receive, which was some, you know, kind of like form of initiation where you was initiated onto making that team. So it's like, there's no difference in anything else that we do in life about consistently being willing to grow and being willing to expand. You know what I mean? So it's like, that's something I look forward to doing this year, not just on the channel, but also with people, you know, in the community and, you know, around the globe for that matter, because it's something that we can all do, and it makes it a lot more impactful and powerful when we do it collectively.
I'd like to build on that.
Oh, you
okay?
Baba. Yes, sir.
Because after you make the team, okay, good, high school athlete and everything else, after you make the team, you don't sit back, you know, chilling, talking about, oh, I made the team.
Yes.
You know?
Yes.
No. You thought you had to work to make the team. Now that you on it,
yes,
you have to turn it up.
Yes, sir.
And I don't care if you on it for 15 years. Every year you got to amp it up, and that's not even, you know, taking into the real consideration that there's other people who want your spot. Now we won't even deal with that, but we know that's real, you know. But it does deal with the ultimate motivator in one's life. Self. I'm doing this work because there's something inside of me that propels me to consistently do better, to consistently reinitiate myself. Atite kiotun ra ete. Well, now that you've been initiated, you must continually reinitiate yourself. Okay. And that doesn't necessarily mean going back and, you know, getting everything done at any place, but I mean, it could, you know, but ultimately from my philosophical conceptualization of Ifa Isheshe is that reinitiation has to take place within the unique context of who you are. You see? I enjoy being out in nature. I enjoy the Tai Chi. I enjoy taking long, you know, walks and maybe trying to jog a little bit on the way. I enjoy getting on my rowing machine with my earplugs in. But all of that to me is the continual training to be the Oba, to be the Babalao, to be the Baba. You see, it's all conjoined. But it's a continual reinitiation. To read books that some people would say and have said, oh, well, what does that have to do with Ifa and Isheshe? Well, because if I'm reading a book about psychoanalytic processes. And I'm working with people, you know, who are dealing with, again, like Dr. Chris Weldon, Ibaye, who are looking at the psychology or the psychological trauma. Then why wouldn't I want to study that and incorporate that in my reinitiation and hence growth of myself? But that's my unique perspective. That's my lane. Okay. Yours might be something else. And well, it should be. But it has to be something. It has to be something. Because again, other than that, we're just dancing around the fire. You know, and I use that metaphorically. And it's not a put down, but it's just an observation. You know, if we're consistently reinitiating ourselves as ears, Babas, individuals on teams, in jobs, like Baba Orisha Baby, you know, stated, you know, drawn the analogy. Oh, I just go to work. Well, what are you striving for? Oh, I just go to work. What? You know, you taking any courses? You trying to better yourself? What are you doing? Oh, I got initiated. I'm Baba now. Okay, so what are you studying? Who are you reading? How are you applying new knowledge to all of the knowledge you think you have? You know, what are you doing? Are you reinitiating yourself? You know, are you growing? Are you getting better? Are you being more helpful? Are you coming up with ways to deal with different demographics? Not everybody wants the big ceremony, but where are the, you know, where are we for the people who are more, you know, the quiet type, the more, dare I say, and I'll put this in quotes, who are more introverted, who want to study, who want to know and not just do. You see? That's my little corner of the universe that I'm welcoming people into. You know what I mean? That's the philosophical basis.
Yes, sir.
But that doesn't negate anything else. Okay. No. So yes, let's move forward into 2025 with this clear understanding that just made the team. That doesn't mean that you can't get cut. That doesn't mean that you can't be replaced.
Take your position.
Hey, you know, say, and Orisha have left people.
Yeah.
You know, and then, you know, it's like, but I don't have that anymore. You know, Oshun left me. Oh, Oshun, no, they didn't leave you. You left them.
Listen, I remember I never heard that until I don't remember what episode, but it was on one of our episodes when you said that. I had never heard of it, but it makes sense because I can kind of see that in regards to like some people who, you know, even some people who've been in the public eye, you know, they kind of lost their ashe or they just lost, you know, the swagger. You're talking about people who was at the top of the whatever their field was, you know, for a minute or what have you. So it's definitely a real thing. And you kind of triggered something in me when you mentioned that statement about knowing thyself. I think that's like the third or fourth time that's come up in the last maybe 3 episodes or so. So I gotta share something because we got some members that was asking about the like book recommendations in the comments. So I'm gonna share a few of those, but a shameless plug. I'm gonna shout out Young Kings because in that book I put the ancient African proverb it's actually, I believe it's in King Tut's tomb, but it's called Know Thyself. And it's a powerful piece, but it's like, know thyself. A person who knows not and knows not that they know not is foolish. Disregard them. A person who knows not and knows that they know not is simple. Teach them. A person who knows not and believes that they know is dangerous. Avoid them. A person who knows and knows not that they know is asleep. Awaken them. A person who knows and knows that they know is wise. Follow them. All of these persons reside in you. Know thyself and ma'at be true. A modern adaptation to an ancient African proverb. So shout out to King Tut for having that powerful piece of literature, you know, in his such topicus, you know what I mean? So, but yeah, man, we got some comments. Thank you, Baba. We got comments about people who want to know about book recommendations, which I'm gonna share Baba's website because he has about 7-8 books, I think, on his website that you know we can get. Family No Revolution And then also, you know, I've been saying this for a minute, but I'm gonna definitely create a recommended books list as well. Of course, with all Baba's work and several other notable authors that, you know, I've studied under and that actually got recommended to me from Baba and some of the other elders who have been on the show. So I'm in the process of working together to put together a compiled book list of recommended reading, because it is something I feel like will help a lot of people who are brand new. And speaking of that, Baba, I'm glad the spirit caught me. I wanted to share a question from a brother, like I said, a new subscriber, a new listener to the channel, who was he gave some really good feedback. So I'm not sure if he's watching that, but shout out to the brother Ulysses, I believe his name was. He was asking about. He said he just found out that I think he has Yoruba, if I'm not mistaken, in his lineage from, I think, doing the DNA testing or what have you. But he wanted to know. He was like, you know, I appreciate the channel but he was saying he wanted to learn more about, you know, the origins of the Yoruba people and the contributions and the history, you know, that has been, I would say, solidified by people, you know, of Yoruba descent or people who fall under the umbrella of Yoruba culture. So I was like, you know, I responded to him. I said, we got a ton of Yoruba, you know, culture and Ifa, Sheshe, all through, you know, sprinkled out throughout the channel. However, that was a direct kind of specific question. So I said, you know what? Next time we get back on that live, man, let me holler at Baba and see what he got for that comment. So hopefully, you know, the brother is watching. If not, hopefully he'll see the episode, you know, that we referenced this question. But yeah, what would you say to brother Ulysses, Baba?
Well, I would kind of echo your statement, is that there's a ton of books, but see, going on a book hunt, you know, is, let's just say, first level. Okay. People get the books. And I've known this from my lecturing days. Okay. Oh, Baba, I got the book. I read the book. But then when I start asking questions, I'm not getting answers. You see? And that awakened in me a deeper need to strengthen myself, not just as a lecturer, but as someone who, not just as a researcher and writer, but as someone who, not just as someone who journalizes the, you know, experiences, but someone who can help make sense of it to those who read, those who listen, those who take that first step into, I'm reading about Yoruba culture and traditions. You know how long you would have to read and how many books in order to break through the conditioned mindset that's there? One book, one time. And I say this from the bottom of my heart, is not going to do it. Is not going to do it. I mean, you walk into somebody's crib and I'm telling my age right now. You could walk into
I know what a crib is. I'm sure not everybody on the call know what a crib is.
Right. I don't want to get caught.
Yeah. Well, I remember when I was like 21, 22, and I got my first crib, boy. Nobody couldn't tell me nothing, boy. I got my first little pad, man. That's what I call it. I'm at the crib. Yeah, so we definitely know what that is.
You can walk into their crib and they got books upon books, you know, and you know, the first impression is like, damn, you know, bro got books, man, you know, it's like scholarly, you know. But then you start looking at, well, bro, did you read this book? No, I got it, but you know, I ain't get to it yet. Bro, did you got that? You got this? Yeah, you know, I hit a couple of pages, but then life happened, you know. Or yeah, I read it, but then when I had a talk with the author, like I met Baba IFA Karade, and he started throwing down based on Imoye, which has more of the history. So that would be, you know, a book that I would highly recommend to the brother, because it's not, you know, PhD essays. You understand what I'm saying? I take time to break it down to better communicate the core concepts, hence the handbook of Yoruba religious concepts. That title just is not meaningless. I need people to see that it's a handbook. What does that mean? Oh, okay. It's not something that I got to, get a forklift. I understand, and it's Yoruba concepts. So it's not like he's trying to tell us what to do. When you conceptualize, you are inviting people to think, to conceptualize. Imoye, and I'm kind of bouncing back and forth between the two, is knowledge. Imoye, like Oloye, okay, like Amoye, which is a term for a philosopher. You see? So all of this has to tie together in order to combat those chaotic and confusing and concrete forces that don't allow us to appreciate the greatness of our people, that don't allow us to appreciate the deep thinking capacities, that don't allow us to think outside of a very, very small and ever decreasing in size box and mental framework of what we did as a people. Oh, we just danced and drummed and sacrifice animals. I mean, really? Or we just did voodoo and ran around in palm vines. I mean, really? Even people today, they got mud huts over in Africa. Oh, well, what? You never been to Lagos? You never seen a city, like Nairobi? You understand what I'm saying? People drive around in cars and whatnot. It's like, so I said all that to say that we can reference books. And that's the first step. But you don't move forward by making one step. You got to make two. Then you got to make 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay. All right. So I would start with Imoye, because I kind of boiled everything down to the new, the gradual time historical line, up to the Benin Empire, which didn't get destroyed until 1897. 1897, 1997. You see, it wasn't that long ago, brothers and sisters. It wasn't that long ago, So, yeah, I would bring him in with handbooks and small books that are like, focused.
Mm-hmm.
And then bring up some of the, the larger, more scholarly books.
Mm-hmm.
So that would be my response. Because I'm looking up at my bookshelf now, and I'm seeing Nigerian images. I'm seeing Yoruba, 9 centuries of African arts and thought. Some of my power books.
Mm-hmm.
But they like yay thick. So I wouldn't ask somebody who's just trying to, learn to get into that.
Mm-hmm.
So in closing, I would start off with Imoye. I would start off with.
I would say this, the handbook.
Handbook.
I would like every person who I've ever dealt with that's asked me anything about, the tradition that was brand new. The first thing I tell everybody is you got to get the handbook. Get the handbook. And then start from there, because that right there literally will be, I call it the Ifa Isheshe Bible, because, and no disrespect to you and your work, but
No.
Yeah. See, I ain't got that updated joint, but I definitely got I got the old school throwback though. I still got that throwback, but I do got that one on audiobook. I do got it on audiobook. I do have it, yes, sir. And an ebook. I got it in all 3 formats.
So between Imoye and religious concepts, I think that would be a good start. Mm-hmm. Now, see, and again, this is where the institute, comes into play, because see, when I'm professoring, it would be like, okay, who's here and where are you? Mm-hmm. And then brother said, well, I never really, studied this before. I don't really know. I can't have him in the same class as somebody who's like, well, I've been a Babalawo for 5 years. You know what I mean? 10 years. Okay. I could teach the same material, but I probably wouldn't teach it the same way. Well, I know I wouldn't teach it the same way.
Right.
So you see, the next thing I would do is say, consider studying with the authors, because that authors were writing the book. I studied with Dr. Ivan Van Sertima when he was writing. They came before Columbus. It rocked my world. You understand? Rocked my world, not just because I read his book, but I was older than most of the students in the class, and definitely more mature, so he and I kind of related, and maybe he saw something in me that I didn't see in myself at the time. But the whole thing is that if not for that mentorship, I probably wouldn't be as insanely convicted and adamant about what this is and why it's so daggone important.
Right. That part.
So short story long, brother. You forgive me. I'm just an old man.
Good, Baba. Keep rolling. We're good. Yes, sir.
But that would be my response.
Sure. Yeah, no, that's real, because there are a lot of levels to different types of literature. So, for example, I'll give you a perfect example. For me personally, I remember back in the day, because huge Pac fan. I'm sure the tribe who's been here for a while know that I'm a huge Pac fan, and most of the world is, if you know good music and respect talent and godhood. But huge Pac fan. But I remember when he wrote when he dropped the album Machiavelli, the Don Illuminati 7-Day Theory. I remember like studying and looking up, researching Niccolo Machiavelli. I'm like, well, Pac is on this dude. It got to be something about this. You know what I'm saying? I need to check this out. I need to look into it. So I bought the book, but the book was weird as hell to me, man. I think I was in my early 20s. So it was like, it didn't resonate with me, because I guess now hindsight, looking back in time, consciously or just intellectually, I wasn't prepared for that type of information. Like my mind wasn't ready for that yet. But then I forgot how many years later, but years later, I went back and read it. And then I was able to, you know what I'm saying? It made sense. And I'll even use another one, which this one, even more so. I remember when I first got hip to Sun Tzu, The Art of War. You know what I'm saying? I remember I started trying to read that as a young guy, probably like in my late teens, early 20s. Same thing. It didn't resonate with me like that. It just didn't click. Same thing, went back years later and read it, and then boom, now it made so much more sense. Because if you think about work like that, right, and you talk about critical thinking, or you think about strategy, or you talk about war, because everything is in some way, shape, form, or fashion a tug of war, whether it's within your internal thoughts, within just your own ori, that at times can be a war. You know what I'm saying? I know it is for myself. So I know for a fact that if you have read or you've studied any type of literature or books on psychology, emotional intelligence, critical thinking, or, you know what I'm saying, or observation, or like analysis, and learning how to break down and disseminate information, it's going to help you out a whole lot more when you get into those tugs of war. You know what I mean? Because now you have, at some point in time, have digested or ingested some sort of superior level of literature that's going to be able to now kind of like activate itself in times of need. Another book that's dope like that too is The Four Agreements. Like that's another book I feel like it's a must read, like maybe once or twice a year, because it's giving us the tools to be extremely sharp when it comes to doing critical thinking. And I feel like we all need to have critical thinking, because if we don't have it, boy, it's a problem.
Yeah, well, and that's why people find it a little easier to be followers, because the power of quote unquote leaders, is in the worst of ways and places, that which takes away the necessity to think critically of oneself, of the world, and specifically of them. It's like, man, what you doing? No, we can't go down that road. Well, now force has to be exerted. Now mind manipulation. You understand what I'm saying? So everything has to be done to keep you from thinking critically and reaching conclusions that best suit your unique being. And if we're going to talk about moving into 2025 with a greater sense of being and looking back at the winds and the waves that are propelling us forward and calling them Burkina Faso, looking at that example, calling those forces the Benin Wall, the Benin Wall, calling those forces the Edo Empire, the Benin Empire, calling those forces, okay, Zimbabwe, looking all the way back to, as you mentioned before, the Ethiopian plains where Dinkanesh, the oldest of us, going back into Ifa and Isheshe and drawing forth that knowledge as one would draw water from the well, from the spring, you know, and bring that water to the community, you know, and that water being knowledge, understanding, and wisdom.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. But we can't move forward without that. I mean, we can, you know, the sheep move forward to the slaughterhouse.
Mm-hmm.
Yes,
Yes,
you know.
Yeah.
But I think you coined the term yesterday that I hadn't heard in a while, sheeple.
Yeah, there's a lot of sheeples out there, boy.
And I'm like, no, we can't have sheeple. But see, I'm going to say this and I'm sit back for a minute. That's what TAWI was all about.
Yeah.
You know, in preparation.
Mm-hmm.
You know? And for those 16 days of actual focus on spiritual, mental, emotional, okay, development, 16 days, each day, homage to the Odu of the day. Each day, a philosophical journey into self, and then the fruits and the seeds out to our worlds, okay? 16 days of making it happen. And as I was sharing with a number of us, it's like, we don't have to relegate it to, you know, December, but it's good that we all do it at the same time, because that creates a mental egg bang, you know, a telepathic, if you will, you know, because we're all doing it at the same time. So the consciousness, you know, we all vibing, you know, on the same frequency. Yep. But after we make the team, going back to your analogy, you know, we can basically carve out any other time, you know. Oh, I'm on vacation for a while. I got a couple of weeks off. So instead of me jumping up and down about it, I'm going to exercise TAWI Day, you know, as a part of my spiritual exercise. We used to do it back in the temple days twice a year, December and July, you know. Just and if everybody couldn't do it, I was like, cool, because see, this is not, you know, do or die kind of thing, or you ain't going to be blessed, or the Lord going to, you know, strike you down or whatever. It's like, I get it, but I'm the Oba, I'm Baba IFA Karade. I need to do it because I need to be strong enough to continue to move forward.
Yes, sir.
But I share that with all of the people here, the congregates, to say that, okay, we did the 16 days and an ebook's coming out with all of the information, right, Baba Risha Baby? We got the ebook coming out.
Yes, sir.
So that you will have, you know, an example of reflections. You know, my call is for you to, once you go through your 16 days, is to start writing your own insights. You know, don't follow the book. Start jotting notes and making side notes so that you are the critical author of your own existence, of your own life. That classic record that is said to be, oh, there's something else up there writing down your life story. That's something else up there writing your life story is your NEKG, your spiritual angel, your guiding angel, your, you know, however you want to define it, but we call it NEKG. Your guardian spirit, maybe that's a better term I should use.
Mm-hmm.
You know? But it can't write if you're not thinking.
Mm.
It can translate your actions if you're not cognate, you know, sizing, you know, recognizing, like we talked about last time, you know, what you're doing as opposed to just doing it. You know, the whole world is a stage. Well, I don't think so. I don't go with that Greco, you know, human Greco-Roman thing.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the world is not a stage, because then that means that everybody's just acting, and we all kind of fall into that. I'm acting like a Babalawo. I'm acting like a Iya. You know, I'm acting based on the script that was given me.
Mm-hmm.
My own personality, my own, and this is why Rumula calls for us to be authentic, not just actors. You know, and to be creators of unique and empowering ways. You know, going back to the football thing, if everybody everybody who was a quarterback did the same thing that every other quarterback did, and followed every play that every other quarterback was set to you know, to execute on the field, then that due to their what are they bringing to the game? What are they bringing to the team? What are they bringing to life? You know, so we're making that analogy, but let's you know, we're going into 2025. We're going, if we step in, let's step heavy, because see, I don't like to play. I like to enjoy, but I don't like to play. You know, I enjoy hard work. I enjoy throwing down. You know, so the thing is, you know, we can make this happen, but we have to understand. We have to go in and be unique and not just actors.
Yes,
so if you're going to read, then read with questions, read with some analytical, you know, prowess, you know, be critical. Don't be afraid to ask questions. How many elays? Don't ask questions. Just do what you're told. What? Do I look like I'm 5 years old up in here? You know what I mean? So it's like, no, I'm encouraging. And when the classes start and I start drawing from TAWI, just keeping all the fingers in the hand, you know, moving strong.
Oh yeah.
It's like, what do you think? What are you doing? What are you making happen as a result of this? Because that shows that you're learning and not just studying for the test, or not even care if you pass the test or not. You know what I mean?
That part.
You know? So yeah, so like I said, I'm gonna step back, bro.
No, you listen. Well, I got a little bit, but you can keep on hitting if you want to, man. Because look, you got the tribe going crazy as usual. But nah, you know, you said you struck a chord with me with a couple of things you said though in that exchange, because the authenticity part, like that's huge. That's huge, because that was something that we spoke about on the private community call, I believe, on Monday, whichever day it was. My day is kind of running together. So time's moving so fast for me, but. I remember, you know, one of the members speaking about the authenticity, you know what I mean, and how Ashe is different from a lot of other platforms, and particularly like platforms, I guess, like based upon either Ifa, Ashe, or African spirituality. Whereas the atmosphere here, if I'm not mistaken, I think they said it was like, it's like a family affair. You know what I'm saying? It's like going to an aunt or uncle's house that always got all the good food, and you know what I'm saying? Like they got the big yard where, you know, just kicking it. Like we chilling with family, like we vibing. You know what I'm saying? It was just like it was just so dope, because I'm like, bro, that's exactly, you know, how I envisioned it, but I never, you know, would have seen it happen organically the way that it did. But it goes back to what was stated, is the authenticity, being who and what you are. You know what I'm saying? And I feel like with that, that's where I take pride in us doing, you know, what we do by just being us, because nobody else can be you like you. You know what I'm saying? But it's what we see now with these sheeple. And I hate to say this, but and for the sisters, I love y'all more than anything out there. I promise you that. But at the same time, I see things that's happening in the trend of our sisters being sheeples to following some of this bullshit with these BBLs and all this other stuff, you know, destroying, you know, cutting on the bodies unnecessarily and all that, to follow other people and other cultures who they getting surgeries to try to look like us. then we falling for the Jedi mind trick to, you know what I'm saying, want to turn around because they might be on TV or whatever and getting surgeries and BBL look like them. Like, nah, you are the progenitor. You are the trophy. You are the one. You know what I'm saying? Like, the Sphinx is that of a woman. That is the face of a black woman. And we can go to Mars and there's another one on Mars. You know what I'm saying? That's about black woman. So it ain't even just here on Earth. This is throughout the universe. So it's like, we ain't never got to imitate nobody else. You know what I'm saying? But it's like, that's the thing that I really take pride with this, is because just being us and being real and being transparent on who and what you are, it attracts the right people who can relate to, you know what I'm saying, and fall in alignment, or I should say operate within the same frequency of that authenticity. And you know, for me, Baba, I've shared that with you several times about the people who I have invested with as business coaches or whatever the case, mentors, whatever the case may be. I always try to go with the people who I feel like are real, because those are the people who I feel like I can relate to the most. Even if we come from a totally different demographic, we could be from, you know, two totally different type of atmospheres, environments, whatever. I don't care, because if whatever you're teaching or whatever you're coaching, if it resonates with me and I know that you got more information or you have like more developed skills and you're further along in your journey or path or whatever it is that I'm trying to accomplish and achieve, I'm gonna go with the person all day who's real in themselves versus somebody who I can see and feel like they putting on the front, like they have to try to actually, you know what I'm saying, do whatever it is that they're putting themselves online or wherever they're promoting to be or to do. And I'm gonna give you a perfect example of that. Is like the movie. I don't know if you've seen that series, The Lioness, Baba. Phenomenal series, The Lioness.
Oh yeah. Oh, bro, this is deep.
That's a powerful series. So I like that series. But anywho,
like it.
Morgan Freeman. I love Morgan Freeman, A+ Hall of Fame actor. But that role, I don't like him in that role, because like when he cuss, it's like he got to try to cuss. And I could tell naturally in real life, he can't be a cusser. I know he ain't a cusser, because when every time he cuss, it just don't flow. It don't feel natural. It's like he got to try. Even if he's not subconsciously thinking about it, it's happening. So it's like, damn, they should have had somebody else play that role. Not that he can't act, because he's phenomenal. I love him. But that role, right, that's not him. So it's like, because I don't feel like, and it's not knocking, because I'm not like on the bandwagon for cussing, like saying that there's something cool or whatever. What I'm saying is that's not his authentic self in that role, because you can tell by it doesn't flow naturally. You know what I mean? So I think that's where, you know, when we're talking about authenticity, that's where like really knowing thyself comes to like the forefront, because at the end of the day, nothing about my child of godness or your child of godness makes us any superior to anybody else, you know what I'm saying, child of godness, and vice versa. Nothing about nobody else's child of godness make them superior or makes us inferior to theirs. So it's like, once you get to the point where you really tap in and you know that you are a child of the Creator, and you know who and what you are and what you're here to do, nothing should ever come against you being your authentic self. And even if you don't know that, still be your authentic self, because if somebody don't like you or rock with you, tell them to kick rocks, because they just ain't the tribe of the people for you. You know what I mean? But never diminish your light and diminish your shine to acquiesce, to fall in line with the sheeple, because that's not what we're here for. And then at the same time, you're doing yourself a disservice, because not only that, the right people won't be attracted to you, but also the right opportunities and the right environments and situations won't get attracted to you, because you're blocking your opportunity for the best, you know, elevation, ascension, you know what I'm saying, like manifestation, because you're not giving your authentic self to the universe. So the universe knows what you are. The Creator knows who and what you are. So if you're not being real with that, then how can the universe, how can the Creator, how can the Orisha, how can the Egun, how can any other higher level, or I would say more impactful frequency or energy entity, be able to give you that reciprocity when you're not giving it to yourself from yourself?
Yeah. And brother, that's powerful insight, man. You know, and we call that an epiphany. You understand what I'm saying? These are revelations that we make happen in the world. Now, I want to go back to Baba IFA Shegun, and not so much a statement about OG say, but breaking through the barriers, the conditioning. Tying that into what you were saying about, you know, what you stated about the sisters and, you know, the BBLs, and we can go right down to get to skin whitening. You know, I mean, we could take it to the beyond the moon and back.
Yeah.
what kind of triggered inside of me, is that it's not only trying to be them, more deeply disturbing is being what they think we are, being what project we are. I've turned a few sisters on to a powerful book called Chained in Silence. So we referencing books. Now it's a little bit scholarly, but the PhD sister who wrote it, she went in and she was talking about women on chain gangs and the criminalization and sexualization of women throughout the enslavement period, throughout Reconstruction, throughout Jim Crow. Now, mostly we talk about, men folk. We see the movie, the men folk in the chain gangs and, all that kind of men in prison kind of thing, especially back in that era, that time. But what my sister did is she went and said, well, what about the women? What was happening to the women that put them into this frame, basically imposed by the society, which is ruled by, white males who went about in great lengths, okay, to Baba Risha, baby, can you take that down? Okay, to criminalize and sexualize Black women. See? And of course they had all kinds of justifications and rationale and scientific data and all that kind of thing. They had people coming from Italy and France and Germany and Great Britain, and all of these so-called, scholars of different, fields, banding together like the Berlin Conference and carving up Black women into, and just carving them up psychologically, projecting, this hyper-sexed, hyper-criminal that has to be caged, contained, controlled, abused, made servile. And though emancipation had taken place, slavery still existed. Okay? Rose by any other name, my brothers and sisters. Okay? So again, it's like, what do we see of ourselves, in ourselves, and of our people? Like there's people on the teach. Oh, I can't teach these hard-headed Black kids. They just ghetto. They don't know that. Well, you a Black person, you a Black man, you a Black woman. Why are you looking at our children like that? Who's injecting you with this drug of beyond inferiority? Why are you a part of the self-destructive syndrome that makes us inferior amongst ourselves and within ourselves? So now what do? We try to recreate ourselves to be acceptable in whose mind's eye? And that becomes problematic to me. And that's why I continue to go into these hard case schools and bring the sun and the moon.
Yes, sir.
Bring the sun and the moon, because when I look at our youth, I look at our ancestors. And what's the use of being in Ifa Isheshe if we don't look at our people like the greatness, like the sun and the moon, like the wind and the waves. What are we seeing? The next Ben Bay. Okay, fine. How many Orisha we going to get? Okay, fine. How many books we going to have on our shelves? Okay, fine. But when you add multiplication signs between all of those things, what's happening in here? I mean, truly, what's happening in? And this is where the importance of Ori comes in, and not just knowing Ori, but like you stated, through the constant spiritual practice, through the constant TAWI days, through the consistent dedicated practice, study, throwing the Opwele in order to better understand it, starting to see, as I've come to see, that the Odu aren't just something on a piece of paper, that they're actual entities, and they want to talk to you. They want to talk to you, not because I'm personifying them, but because they are living beings.
Yes.
Whose spirits know no time. There is no new year for them. Because they are ever present. They are ever lasting. They are, since they're being emanated from Olodumare, they are forever. They are forever. And like you wisely stated, if we don't recognize that within themselves, they can be knocking at the door and we just don't feel like getting up and opening it.
Oh, man.
It's just too much darn trouble. And they knocking at the, yo, come on, I'm here. I got this for you. Like, man, I'm a little tired. I'm laying up, got my queen and I'm just chilling, or I'm doing that, or I'm too busy. I got the kids, and life is just too chaotic right now. Come back later. You know what I mean? And they're like, come back later. All right, but this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to leave and I ain't never coming back. You stay in your chaotic, conditioned and warped state of mind.
Yeah.
Because when you were really needing help, you didn't really want to do what you needed to do. You want to but you didn't want to work out hard before you went to the tryouts.
Right. That part. That's facts. And Baba, that, man, that's a perfect segue into conditioning. Like that is a perfect segue into conditioning. And before I go into it, I want to first and foremost, let me share another book, because I want to make sure that I got all the feminine energy and the queens and the gods and goddesses. I want all y'all to know I'm not bashing Black women. I don't bash Black women. I don't bash women, period. And damn sure won't be a Black woman that I would never bash. But this is another powerful piece of work too, man. This book right here is by sister named Teresa. It's by Sister Teresa in Washington. Very powerful book. It's called The Architects of Existence, Ajay, in Yoruba Cosmology, Ontology, and Orature. When I tell you this piece is powerful, oh my God, it's a powerful book, because she went in, and she got multiple other books too. I would love to see if I can connect and maybe interview her. But very powerful book, Baba. I'm talking about, she goes, like, literally the title and the subtitle are perfect, because she goes into the cosmology of the feminine energy from the universe, you know what I mean? We're talking about from the planets and the star system, solar system, etc. And then she breaks it down into the biology of the body of the womb, man. I mean, it was dope, man. Then she goes into the Odu, and just, it's a very powerful piece. But I say all that to say, that's I feel like that when I spoke about the progenitor, and I spoke about the Sphinx being that of a Black woman, like, that's what I mean. Like, that's that kind of energy. That's that bar none, the head and shoulders above the rest type of energy that I'm talking about when I'm talking about the Sphinx, because that's what she kind of portrayed within the power in that book. So with that, it goes back to what I was saying, how that was a perfect segue to conditioning. So shout out to Urban Gorilla. He been going ham in the chats, but he spoke about asking if we could do a workshop or some sort of call or class on the Ori. And I'm like, yeah, we definitely got that coming. But that's something that I'm working on with the private community. Like I said, beginning this weekend, is working on the conditioning, because just like the sports parallel or the sports metaphor, You know, you don't want to go to basketball or football or whatever tryouts out of shape. Like you ain't been working out, you ain't been, you know, doing any type of cardio, you ain't been doing anything, no weight training, no nothing, and think that you're just gonna go out there and ball out. Even if you're a far superior athlete than everybody else in the trials, if you wasn't putting in no work for 2 or 3 months before the trial, chances are you're gonna get beat out by some less, you know what I'm saying, skilled players because you ain't conditioned. So that's kind of how I look at where I want to do with the private community, and then hopefully get those members ready to go for the institute, because it's like we got to start with the basic fundamentals and then, you know, go up to the next levels in regards to conditioning. So I look at it like if we have a set, you know, a daily schedule, a weekly schedule, a monthly routine in regards to how we're doing ritual, how we're doing prayer, how we're doing sacrifice, how we're doing studying, how we're studying the Odus, you know what I mean? Like all these different, I feel like step-by-step frameworks it can't help but to progress us. But the most important thing is to be dedicated and disciplined. And I feel like coming out of TAWI, I can't even take full credit for it. Something was within spirit, like jumped on me and like got me kind of recentered back to, I felt like damn near like I was in EIO again, you know, because it's like I really did spend more time on the mat those last 3 or 4 days of TAWI up until today than I have since I was in the room. And it's like, but I love it because I'm seeing how so many different things are like opening up and unfolding. It's like a waterfall of nothing but consciousness and energy and information that's all, you know what I'm saying? It's like brewing together like a pot of gumbo, you know, jambalaya or something. It's just like, and it's like, yo, this is amazing. Like it really is, because it's like so many other things can come, you know, in your space to kind of maybe try to test you, you know, and get you to that breaking point or get you to want to snap and spaz and all that. But if you know the work that you've been doing, which is the inner work, which is the work that's like the tree, you know what I mean? Like the tree is a very powerful, very, very powerful, you know, piece of plant life, but it really doesn't we don't see the true source of its power, because we see the big tall tree standing up above the ground. But the true source and the real power of that tree is the roots, man, that go way deep down into Onile. So that's how I kind of look at us. When we're doing that inner work, we're going down into the, you know, the source. We're going in. You know what I mean? So it's like that's where we really create that true, solid, strong, you know, foundation. If you look at the base of the pyramid, you know what I mean? Like it had to be powerful in order for it to be able to stand that tall for this long. You know what I mean? So that's where I feel like where we're definitely going with the tribe, not just in the institute, but also in the community as well, because it's something that I feel like we definitely can set ourselves up for success this year by just doing the basics, the fundamentals, and the conditioning. You know, being consistent with the conditioning.
You know, Chichita. Okay,
put that back up.
Yeah, it's interesting that you bring this up, because see, back in the day, I worked in the prison systems. Back in the day, I would meet with government officials, especially in New York State. Okay, and I had a few touch and go correspondences. Speaking of Georgia, with correctional facility managers, if you will, down in Georgia. But all up in between that, and not to mention, you know, performing up and down the East Coast, like back in the Islamic days, during Eids and different times when outsiders, we were allowed to come in to speak to the brothers and sometimes the sisters, you know, about spiritual development and about, you know, not just Black consciousness, but consciousness, period. You understand? So during those times, I'm talking about the 90s and up into the 2000s, we were able to get books in. We were able to, and I've had correspondences with the chaplains. So there was a bridge, because I was coming in with logic. If you can have a Bible in the prison, then why can't you have Ifa in the prison? And when it came down to the Ilekes, well, I've seen prisoners walking around here with chains and a crucifix on. They're small. They don't want to like kill anybody with the crucifix, like the conquistadores, which was my argument. That why can't they have, they being our brothers and sisters, why can't they have some emblem of Ifa? And well, back then was calling it Yoruba, and the most asinine of questions and rationale would be thrown on the table. Well, what about the blood sacrifices? And I'm like, what about them? Okay. What about them? You think that I'm coming here and sitting down and stating to you, that we're going to come in and start doing blood sacrifices inside of your prison, and in my mind is like, I'm not the one who's stupid up in here. You stupid for even bringing it up. But back to conditioning. This is what the Eurocentric mindset is, even if they're Latinos, in certain positions. Well, we don't think they should have any prayers because we don't want any black magic going on. I'm saying, but you can pray to a dead Jesus. You know what I mean? These are the types of battles that I've fought, to the point of, the absurd. But these are people with masters and PhDs who are running or part of the management of the prison systems. But fortunately, let's say 2 out of 20 would be like, he has a point, and then I start communicating with those chaplains. They'll have some letters now from back in 1999 or whatever. But the whole thing is that, I would start to get letters from prisoners. Oh, I read the handbook. I'm like, okay, well, somebody let you get that handbook, or, allowed somebody to bring it in. So I don't know, Chachita. I would have to ask you to, do some numbers, okay? And I guess my question is, have you tried? Have you tried? I mean, come on. Going back to Malcolm, El Haj Malik Al-Shabazz, he learned Islam in the prison.
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
Yeah.
I'm dangerously assuming that somebody had a Quran or was at least writing down what they knew. But there wasn't this thing about, oh, this is African. Oh, this is black magic. Oh, if they get into this, it's going to be trouble.
Mm-hmm.
You see, let's give them a Bible and tell them that, Jesus is going to save them, kind of energy and attitude. And I'm like, I can't fight against that. It's your world, but you want the only creatures in the world, even that you create.
That's facts.
Yeah. So yeah, we do need to change it, but we need to change it before our brothers and sisters get incarcerated.
Yes, sir. That part. Yes, sir. Yeah.
We need to change before it gets there. And that's where the media comes out that we control.
Mm-hmm.
That's where young kings come out. That's where me being in the school systems and the colleges comes in. And I'm bringing, like, we watching our Ase channel just before the school break. I was up there, Baba Risha Beam was up there, and while the students were doing their work, I'm running it on YouTube.
I know that's right.
Not because I'm trying to propagate, but I'm trying to, deeply
impact them.
Conditioning.
Yes. Unlearn, relearn.
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Yes. If we don't model it, then what can we expect to happen?
Yeah.
So, Chachita, check it out and see. And then there's rehabilitation centers, halfway houses for drugs and drug what am I looking for here?
That's rehabs and halfway houses, both of them. Like that's where a lot of brothers, like before they get, especially if they did like big time in prison, they'll send them to a halfway house for like 6 months to a year. So I used to work with a halfway house. I don't know if it was called a halfway house, but it was like a similar type of organization. Where I was working with brothers who came home from prison when I very first started speaking, like in 2017, I think. And you know what? I would have to say to that, I feel like it could be I'm not sure which prison or which jail that she's referring to, but it could be, I know there's different rules in different states, and you know what I'm saying? And some of those prisons, privately, like there's so many different dynamics of who actually is calling the shots or who is in charge of what does or does not come in. Because at the end of the day, man, it's brothers in there with cell phones, there's brothers in there getting weed, coke, pills, you name it. Hell, some of them getting sex from the guards. So, you know what I'm saying? Like, so it's like, I think it depends on which one they're in and like who's in control. Because I know, like, for example, I know some people that did time that gave me some flowers off of tips, my first book, because brothers was in there doing time and they read it and it was like, and I actually read some testimonials where it made a positive impact, because it was like, yo, you had a similar like lifestyle, and like your life was similar to mine. Like, and matter of fact, brother, shout out to Urban Gorilla. He was just saying that about some of the books that we were talking about, like Art of War, and I can't remember whichever ones, but he was like, yo, we read some of the same books. So it's like, we never know how many people have been through, if not the same exact, very similar experiences that we have been through. And it's like, I really give thanks to, the sister who kind of pressured me into writing that book, because I'm like, at the time, in my mind, and this is something that I thank God I've been able to overcome, but it was like I had self-limiting beliefs. I'm like, I had doubts, like, man, nobody want to hear no book from me. Nobody, you know what I'm saying? Nobody don't even know who I am. Why would I write a book? Nobody knows who I am. Like, what would they want to, what would they get from it? But mind you, this is from me, to quote Les Brown, that's from me looking at my life and my experiences myself from inside the frame. But see, with her being somebody outside of the frame, she sees the potential of what, could have came out of me writing that book. And I thank God that, Spirit did get me to listen eventually, because it didn't happen overnight. It took a while of being pressured, and being persistent to kind of to trigger me to, want to take the action on it. But it brings me back to another quote from Les Brown, where he was like, sometimes in life, we have to go off of other people's beliefs in us if we don't have enough belief in ourselves. And then, if you do that, then you can get to the point where even if you're in a space where you feel, self-limited to beliefs, or low self-esteem, or lack of confidence, or whatever the case may be, if you got other people around you who pushing you forward and trying to pull you up, who believe in you, and they telling you, take it and run with it, because that same confidence, that same ashe, that same positive energy can light that fire to, to get the wick burning, to where it get down to where it actually hits the base of like the candle. And then now you see that thing, it get hot and start melting. Now you got the fluid, and now you got the whole, you got your whole candle lit, man. And it's like, it's something that I feel like we definitely need to do for each other more, whether we in or out of the system, primarily out of the system. Like you said, Baba, we want to, it's almost like going to the dentist. You want to make sure you brush and floss every day, so that way you don't get no cavities where you got to have a root canal or a crown, or, the very painful procedure. So we just do the basics on a daily basis, consistently with discipline, just like we're talking about with the conditioning, then we won't really have those things happening to where, we get those cavities where we got to have extractions and root canals and, crowns and all that stuff, because we can consistently do the work on a daily basis to kind of eliminate that bacteria, that tartar, that buildup. Now I'm speaking metaphorically, to mentally and spiritually, and even physically, for that matter, in regards to our lives and our experiences.
Man, in terms of being incarcerated, I mean, things going to happen. We can get pulled over and be innocent as the day.
Oh yeah,
and still have to suffer, or like you said, we can brush and floss every day. But then there's some of us who are genetically, it's like, but regardless, we are trying to do our best to avert and avoid.
Yes, sir.
So that even if it does happen, like, I know my rights, you know what I mean? And or I'm going to put on my cam, you know what I mean? I'm going to do something to keep this from going in all the direction that you want to take.
Yep.
You know what I mean? And when we, Vifani Sheshe, start to inundate, our communities with the positivity of Ifa Isheshe, not just a conditioned mind set and frame of, oh, well, this is what our ancestors did. You don't have a clue about what your ancestors did. How much did you study? How deep did you go? Who did you talk to from 400 years ago? You just going on what somebody told you and what seemingly feels good. And I get it. Even actors get caught up in their roles.
Wait.
What?
Bring that back, Baba. We're gonna stop the truck right there. We're gonna throw it in reverse. Hit that again for the people in the back. I like it.
Yeah. See, even sometimes actors get caught up in their roles. Okay. We don't study, we don't cross-reference, we don't listen to the elders. We're going on what, the feel-good aspect of it, and it is even rewarding. Okay. We get paid, or we get high, off the adrenaline rush. We get paraded, and we get dressed up, and we get charmed. But these same people are telling you don't read and don't listen to anybody, which basically means don't listen to any other spirit, which basically puts you in this frame of mind where you don't have to be analytical. You just have to, go in whatever direction you're pointed, and it's just not doing us any good. It might look good, but again, check the stats. Like Kachita was talking about, well, can we get these into college? Into the prisons? And I'm saying, well, back in my day, I made sure it happened. I would travel to New York and meet with people. I wouldn't just sit back, oh, we can't, or we won't. It's like, get your ashe together and start making the difference that you see that needs to be made the difference. So if you don't feel as though it's happening, then you get up and you make it happen. That because something inside of you is telling you that that's a problem that you can possibly do something about. You're just not raising the question for no reason. So how are we going to circumvent? How are we going to decondition? How are we going to stop acting like this is what our ancestors have been working hard to keep themselves together for thousands and 10,000s and 100,000s of years? Why can't we say our ancestors were builders? We're looking at, like you said about the pyramid. Okay, fine. But why do we have 5% of Black and Latino students in a given urban high school who pass math and science exams? 5%.
I'll tell you why, Baba, because the system is doing exactly what it was created to do.
But see, yes, but are we doing what that was created to do? Are we part of that?
Yeah, I think unfortunately some of us are. Unfortunately, yeah. But
yes,
I'll say
okay.
this, I give thanks, just to spirit, man, how divine alignment takes place, because out of everything that you just said, we are the disruptors. We coming in to change that. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, and it's already happening. And I say it humbly, but I'm saying it proudly, with a sense of conviction, because that's what we're here for. We're here now, and we're going to do everything we can to make sure that that's not an issue by any means necessary. And so I look at that, just like when you were saying earlier about quarterbacks in football, right? If you're coming out, you're trying to do the same thing. Back in my day, it was like the Jim Kellys and the John Elways and, the Dan Marinos. Like those were the guys back when I was young coming up, right? So, but then you mess around and fast forward, and then you start to see a Randall Cunningham, and you see a Warren Moon, and then you mess around and, God forbid, boy, you see a Mike Vick coming that thing, and Mike came in as the disruptor. You know what I'm saying? Because he came in with lethal, speed like a running back, but he could throw that thing like the best of them. So it's like, that's what we all have to do now. We have to be the disruptors, you know what I mean, to crumble that systematic approach that they're doing to try to kind of keep us into that, you know what I mean, that conditioned, sleep, mind state, or sleep, a type of I feel like life experience where we're not working on the ability to tap into the God self, the higher self, that next level frequency.
And why? We don't have elders. We don't have philosophers coming from the African. We're not celebrated. Oh, we got a Martin Luther King Day, and that's no slight. If I get off work, well, where's Malcolm X Day? You see, there's certain,
Fred Hampton.
I
said the Fred Hampton Day.
Yeah, all that kind of thing. So why don't we have them in this society? Why are there so many churches and hardly any elays? And it's all churches are teaching Black history, but are they? Are they?
Depends on what you consider Black history.
Exactly. So we got to put that in quotations, but quotation marks. But the whole thing is that, like you said, we here now. And that doesn't mean we all have to be in the same place doing the same thing.
Mm-mm.
I know what my battle is. My battle is against illiteracy. Because when I look at the numbers, so I apply Ifa, I apply Isheshe, I apply every ounce of my being as I continually reinitiate myself. People are like, why don't you retire? I'm like, why don't you stop asking me that?
Stay out grown folks' business, man.
I'm serious. Why don't you stop asking me that? Because, you want to put me into your conditioned mindset. Oh, well, you're over 65, you're in your 70s. And I'm like, so what? You ready to put me in the grave? I'm keep messing around. All right. So the whole thing is that we start to determine where we are. Now we're moving into 2025.
Mm-hmm.
We can do this big 2020 to 25, divination and all that kind of thing. But every cloth or clothing doesn't fit everybody.
Facts.
And I personally, I don't see where it works, because I'm addressing it analytically.
Critical
So
thinking.
I choose my position. If I'm not good at the quarterback, well, I played halfback. I played defensive back when I was in high school. But that was my position. That's what I did. I wasn't trying to be the quarterback. I wasn't trying to be the guard, the tackle, the tight ends. I wasn't trying to do what I wasn't out there to do. So my statement is, for all of us right now, stepping into 2025 with the wind and the waves at our backs, and we are identifying where they're coming from. Oh, the wind's coming from the northeast, so let's move the sails this way, or the waves are moving in this direction, so let's move the rudder that way. We reconnect with the past in order to move forward in a direction that is our position. And how do we know it's our position? Because we know it's our position, not because somebody put us in the position, but because we know in our hearts what our position is and how we can best now learn how to be empowered by Ifa Isheshe in order to be victorious. We can't liberate others if we're not working at liberating ourselves. That's just pure science. How you can liberate if you can't liberate yourself?
Yeah,
But you got position. You got to train in your position. If I'm in the military, if I'm a sharpshooter, I'm not going to train the same way that, if I'm working on explosives.
Right.
Okay. So I'm in Ifa Isheshe. Everybody got to do the same thing, same time, and everybody got to follow this certain kind of script. I mean, that's mindless. That's sheeple within the people who talking about sheeples. The sheep talking, looking at each other, calling each other sheep. You know what I mean? I'm like, no, everybody get specific. and then join hands.
Yes, that part. And that's where the power and collaboration over competition comes from. And shout out to Ifa Segun, because what he just said is perfect timing into what you're saying, which is we got to ask ourselves, what are we disrupting, and are the things changing around us? That's facts. And how many people, can really say that, can look in the mirror and say that that's happening? We can say that. Everybody who's here I feel like we can say that we are disrupting and we are seeing changes. Like I see it every day, with the feedback that we get from the people who watch the channel. You know what I mean? It's like that within itself, that's one of the things we were talking about Monday too on the private calls. Like it's that's what inspires us. I was sharing with them, like that's what gets me and you like riled up, ready to go every day, because we know we're not just doing this just to do it. And it's damn sure not for, what I'm saying, like clout chasing and ticks and likes and all that, because it is a whole lot of that going on, well, a whole lot. But anyway, it's like we're doing it for, the passion, the love, pouring into, and like you said, saving, empowering, and educating our people. And that's what it's really boiled down to. And then that also goes back to where we are with, what are we really disrupting? Like, what are we really changing? To quote Ifa, you know what I mean? So for me, my goal is to disrupt the current condition, of our people, and to change it by empowering us and equipping us with education coming from multiple different dynamics. You know what I mean? Like you do Ifa Ishe, some of the others might do comedics, some of the other elders might do, whoever, the Moorish, teaching. Like it doesn't matter. But all I know is that I definitely want to disrupt the best way I can by bringing nothing but powerful intellect, insight, wisdom, and intelligence that we can all take, use, and apply to be those disruptors, to really create and make shift happen. You know what I mean? And it's like, that's where I feel like we definitely are doing something, within that regards. And it's just, a matter of keeping it pushing and keep making it do what it do.
Shit.
Yes,
I'm going to take a deep breath here. Okay. And it might seem like it's off topic, but it's on topic. Place a nice audiobook, stepping into 2025. Okay. Now, Karade Nation, Ase Tribe, we reached another plateau. For those of you who do know about A Place of Night's War and Resurrection, the novel that I've written that incorporates the philosophical and the theological dimensions of Ifani Sheshe, in a time, though fiction, the term now that most of us are using in the literary world, Afrofuturism, even though it may not take place in the future, but it's taking place in an Afrocentric creative mindset, basically devoid of Eurocentric, over influence. So here we have, A Place of Nights, and for the past 3-4 months of working with our 100 Nigerian musician, and we even included a soundtrack on the audiobook. So it's been arduous work. It has been a swimming of oceans and a crossing of deserts, but we finally reached the mountain, and we're starting the climb, and metaphorically speaking, in regards to like, hey, we want to get this out. We want people to experience it. Okay. And it's season 1, chapters 1, 2, and 3, which includes the prologue. So the point is, talking the talk, yes. Walking the walk, emphatically, yes. Okay. Putting out that information. I have my students listen to it. A few of whom are from Nigeria. And they're like, they never would have dreamed. They never heard of anything like this before. You see? And so what does this do? It sparks them. It gives them, a sense of fulfillment and sustainability. And the reviews that I've been getting in are astounding, from elders in the tradition, because I do have a Babalawo in there, and that Babalawo is a source of reason for the people. See? So, we're taking the Ifa Isheshe experience, and we're like seeds, like pollen, blown by the wind, carried by the birds of wisdom and knowledge, and dropped onto the soil, and that seed is like, hopefully this soil is fertile because I want to grow, So what we're doing is going beyond the dialogue and stepping into the actualization, the manifestation of Ofo Ashe, of the power of the word. The word is creating the material world that we are building, And whether we get it into the schools, we get it into the prisons, we get it into your homes, wherever we get it, the emphasis is on getting it in here. Because say if you can't take the book to the prison, you can still write letters. You understand? You can still visit and discuss. You become the book. And say if you're the teacher and you know that if you bring that book in, there's going to be this whole other band of book, and they ain't talking about nothing that relates to Greco-human Christian kind of thing, but you still know what you know, so you can bring in comparative studies, Greco-Roman mythology to African mythology. I mean, you can dress it so that it fits perfectly, but you have to want to do that. You have to be beyond the conditioned mindset.
Yeah.
So, we start removing the mask, and we stop acting like it, and we start being it. And this is the deliverance to ascension. This is standing at the base of the mountain. Okay. Season 1 is done. It's done. It's ready on Gumroad right now. People are listening to it. They're hearing the beautiful music. They're following the storyline from chapters 1, 2, and 3. They're making it happen. Some people say, well, I want to get the book now. Some people say, I want to wait till season 2. Like Netflix, some daggone thing. But the point is, it's out there. It's moving. It's making waves. And that's what we're doing with all of our work. The planner. Okay. It's out there. It's ready. We're not just talking about this. We're not theoretical, we're not afraid, Matter of fact, we're fearless. We're warriors. We're intellectual warriors.
That part.
Intellectual warriors. And we have battles to fight. But we're fighting them. And we're winning. We're getting our products out for the salvation of our people.
Freedom
but uplifting the support of our people, wherever people need to find themselves. That's where we're going to be. I say
that's powerful, Baba. And I gotta definitely throw my 2 cents in. Place of Nice is definitely it's a monumental. I feel like it's a monumental project because it goes back to that theme, that's come up a few times of being a disruptor. Like from the first time, you posed it to me, I'm like, yo, I see something with this. Especially when you factor in the fact of having who I dare to say the hottest. I'm gonna say hottest Ifa Isheshe artist, but I don't respectfully like nothing against nobody else. I think he's one of the hottest artists in music, period. And I'm biased because he is an artist who creates Ifa Isheshe music. Matter of fact, for those who might be new to the channel or might just not know, but 100 is the artist who brings in the Ashe podcast, who exits the Ashe podcast. Like it's his theme, his song is our theme song for this channel because from the time I first heard his music, I was like, yo, this dude is dope. Like he is like next level with it. Like he's nuts with it. And it was just like, yo. And so like to see, how, organically that whole project kind of coagulated together, it was beautiful. It was amazing. And it's just like, I can't wait to see how far it goes, because it's something special, because you got, I feel like two of the best in their, respectfully, and two of the best in their class in regards to the work that they do, with your 45 plus years or 45 years of what you've been doing, with this work, not even just Ifa, but even as the teacher, the professor. And then, 100, he's a young brother, but his talent is beyond young. It's, I dare to say, it's an elder, like elder, because he just has a very special gift that I haven't seen. There's very few people, I feel like, that have the gift on the. I'm gonna just say this. I say he's almost, in a sense, he reminds me of like a Ifa Jamie Foxx, because I didn't know until we interviewed him on the podcast that he also, not only is he the artist who sings the song, and makes the music sound as beautiful as it does, but he's also his own writer and his own producer. He's produced, I think, like 90% of the tracks that he's made. I'm like, yo, bro, you want some Kanye stuff with this, bro? Like, what? Like, I was blown away when I found out, because I know for a fact, me and someone who I went to college to learn music production, so it's like, I know the talent that it takes just to be a producer. You have to have a real strong gift, and you have to be willing to have the work ethic to put in the work, to learn how, to kind of like scale that gift, to how, to kind of sharpen that gift, because even if you got the natural gift, you still got to put in a lot of work to get it to where it's going to affect people the way his music affects people. So it's like, I know how much it takes just to be a producer. Now, when you talk about somebody who also can write and sing and, like perform on the mic on top of being behind the boards and doing both, that's a different level of genius, man. Like that's next level genius, because that's like an ambidextrous genius, because you're doing, both sides of the coin, and you're doing both of them at a very high level. There's not a lot of people who I feel like can do that kind of genius, at that level. And I dare to say, man, you talk about like a Gemini like that. That's some look, that's some like real SU type behavior right there, if you ask me, Baba, because you got both sides. You know what I'm saying? You be there to open up every door and every road and every, every crossroad for you, but then you mess around and things ain't, on the up and up. You can shut everything down, but make everything go to a disarray. So it's like that's some real powerful stuff, man. I look forward to seeing it all unfold and manifest, and grow to the highest level.
Well, appreciate the blessings, my brother. And just to add to that, in closing, is that last Saturday, good people, the advertisement or commercial for A Place of Nights, the audiobook, and then subsequently, the book was played in Nigeria, in Abeokuta. So we had a radio blast for about 11, 12 minutes where they were just pushing the book. And, this is in Nigeria. You understand what I'm saying? This is in Nigeria. We're not talking about it happening. It happened Saturday past. And it's going to happen again this Saturday. Because this Saturday, I'm going to be on. So, brother Kosi, the audiobook is ready. It's on Gumroad. Okay. So once you do get with it, man, I'll be very, very in anticipation, to hear your feedback and your review, because I deeply respect your knowledge, brother, and your insight. But going back to the Abeokuta. Okay, so we got a radio station there. We got this deep sister, who's like throwing down. She's talking about the book. She's reading from the Gumroad statement that I sent, but she's reading it like she's behind it. And I think she was amazed by it, because she see words like Oyo, and she's singing names of Yoruba origin.
Familiarity.
Hmm?
seeing, I didn't even interrupt, but she's seeing like familiarity, like she's seeing familiar places and words and what I'm saying, like things that are very familiar to her being there in Nigeria. So I feel like that within itself, that's like for me, that's like a ball player making it to the league from my city. I was born and raised in a small town, so everybody knew who made it to the league from that town because what I'm saying, because we all, it's a small town. So like to me, I look at it like she like, yo, this is like, to me, that's kind of like how I would envision how she probably felt about it. Because to me, that it creates a sense of pride to see somebody come from your I'll just say culture in regards to the book to make it to, what I'm saying, to the next level. But for us, for somebody to come from our neighborhood or from our family or from our community to make it to the top or make it to the next level, to the league. So I think that's where I would say where that pride comes from. And hell, I dare to say that's why I get up the way I do when we do it, because I feel like that every time I get to interview you, and all the elders who come, like, because that I don't take that for granted and I don't take that lightly. Like, that's an honor for me and I'm proud, what I'm saying, like, to be here sharing the mic, because it's huge considering going from somebody reading the book. I can only imagine just like her reading the handbook and just like, yo, this dude is dope. You know what I'm saying? Like, this is dope right here. And then years later getting to actually share, what I'm saying, a platform with him. So it's like, I can only imagine how she felt being someone born and raised there, to see her culture make it, on the next level in the global scale. So I think that's
and elevated and not the same kind of, the same kind of
yeah.
I don't know what they call it. It's one of the woods. You got the Bollywood.
Nollywood, I think they call it.
Yeah, like Nigeria and Hollywood. But it's all over the top kind of thing. But this here is down to earth, and this here is all about us and our experiences and how E5 plays a part in dealing with the intrigue and the way of people who are in charge, the kings, the queens, their personalities, their conflicts, inner and outer. And then we have Amina and her being resurrected by a godlike entity who dwells at the bottom of a massive lake in East Africa, not up in the sky, but right here in earth, not on earth, but in earth. So, it's like, I could just tell as she was kind of pushing the book, because I did get a copy of the commercial, and the way that she was getting in, I was like, oh, this is doing something to her, and for a lot of people, it'll be like, maybe this is the first time that they've ever gotten it from an Ifa priest who's deconditioned and who's not trying to, go back in to the little mindset and just, it's all going to be about hoodoo and voodoo and I'll cast a spell on you and you know what I mean, and all that kind of stuff. You know what I mean? But it's going to be about, oh, this is real life. This is how we got to where we're going. This is philosophical. This is basic. I think I've sent a copy of some of the African proverbs that were built around in order to bring a greater sense of interpretation of them throughout the lives of the characters. You understand? We're not here to play. Babalawo shouldn't be playing with this kind of stuff. Baba shouldn't be playing, and acting. You understand what I'm saying? It's like, who are you and where are you and what are you doing to bring about Orumila's teachings? Orumila's teachings. Come on, people. All right. Come on. All right. Let's do this. And in the words of a great Ifa priest, and I'll quote him, we're gonna make it do what it do, baby. All right.
I think I might have heard somebody mention something like that before. I'm not sure exactly where, but yeah, that sounds familiar, man.
It's powerful, man. It'd be ringing out across the land, bro. You gotta love this, man. You gotta love it. You gotta love it.
We're gonna make it do what it do, babe. We're gonna make it do what it do.
Yes, sir. Look, I borrowed that from the great Ray Charles, man. When Jamie Foxx killed that role, he murdered that role playing Ray. That was my favorite part.
Like, well, I'm gonna make it do what it do, babe. We gonna make it do what it do.
Yes, sir. I remember that. My boy had them glasses on. He even looked like Ray when he was playing that role.
Yeah. They the same tribe, brother. They the same tribe. Ain't no way in the world he could have pulled that off.
You
go back far enough, you might have the same great grandmama. You know,
it's because even like the genius, that level of genius, man, that's a very rare. We all have our own geniuses. You know what I'm saying? So not nobody put anybody on a pedestal, but at the same time, I got to give credit where credit is due. Like I love greatness. I love to see it. I love to celebrate it. I love to give it its flowers, to big up it because it's special. When you see somebody performing at a high level and you just know that they do that thing, whatever that thing is, they do it. I love to see it. I'm here for it. You know what I'm saying? So it's like that's what it is, man. That's what it is.
And Kosi, Eshegan, man, thank you. Okay, you said you just copped the audiobook.
Yes,
all
right.
right.
Look, the tribe don't be playing, man, for real. Especially in Kosi, but shoot, none of them do, for real.
Yeah, yes, and then they like $100. Come on, people, at $4.99. $4.99.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yo,
Yes, sir. Yeah, man.
Cracking up, man.
Listen, but nah, listen, it is special. It's special to see, like I said, how it all came about, and I just recall, I'll never forget the first time you heard Ori from 100, and it was just like I could see the look. I remember, I think I said it on the last call or the one before last, but I just saw that look, man. I'm like, that was like, that right there was you appreciating a master's work, a genius, a work of art, and a genius level of creation. You know what I mean? Like, and that's what that song is. Hell, all his songs for the most part, but like that song, like, I mean, it was just like, it was dope. And it's like, I just from the outside looking like, yo, and mind you, I already know because I already loved the song, but to see how much you loved it just on the very first time, like, yeah, that's dope, man. And it's like, it's special. And to see the whole thing come, full circle to now having that project with both names together on the project, and like even to hear the theme song to it, which is a dope song. Like that's something that we gotta definitely start bumping on the channel, man, because it's a very powerful song, but it fits the book, like it fits it to a T. And I ain't even finished it yet, but just from the parts that I got up to, I think I can't remember how far along I got into it, but I was at least maybe 40 to 50% into it. But I can tell how 100 was able to take the entire vision of the book, audiobook, right, and then put his creative DNA all throughout that theme song, man, because it's just like I can tell he literally immersed himself into the project to be able to create something like that from it. It's almost like a mother giving birth to a child. So it's like my mom tells me all the time, like, boy, you can't do that. I don't know, what I'm saying, like, because what mother doesn't know their child? And then, and then now, mind you, and like you were just saying earlier about coming from a Babalawo, well, hundreds of Babalawo too. So that means he's a man with a womb because he has, Ifa. So therefore, he's working both sides of the masculine and feminine energy when we're talking about creation. So it's like, and even like, I think it was, I can't remember who it was in the comments, but somebody was talking about working in right brain and left brain, but the people who manipulate both sides of both hemispheres of the brain, those are the people who are kind of like on a different level, man, frequency, because you're able to be ambidextrous with being able to work with both principles of the masculine and feminine, the conscious and subconscious, which that's a very powerful unification. You know what I mean? I feel like that's what A Place of Nights did with blending the written genius with the verbal and audio genius. You know what I mean? And it's like it's a dope combination of unification. So that it's a special piece for sure.
Well, it's deep what you said, about the and coach, if I say go give him props for it.
I said they be, man, the love is love, man, for real.
Right. But when you talk about like the masculine and feminine and all, and then we look at Tawede.
Yes.
And Tawede from Ejiak Bay, the whole thing about being barren, Tawede goes to Ifa, goes to the Babalao, I can't conceive, You know, I'm trying, I'm doing everything that I can. We're doing everything that we can, the masculine and the feminine. Okay. But it's like, I can't conceive. So the Babalawo was like, okay, A, B, C, D, but make sure you take care of Obatala. So she does Obatala, she minds her Ewo, her taboos, she makes her offerings, she changes her life as a devotee. Okay, she becomes an Obatala priestess. Then she conceives. We have to see it more than on the physical plane, because the same thing does happen within us, the masculine, the feminine, the right hemisphere, the left hemisphere, you know, and how we conceive ideas, you know, how we are, and I'll coin the term, impregnated with revelations and epiphanies. And there are oftentimes what one will see that term utilized. You know, I was impregnated with so many ideas, you know, and now we start to understand the deeper value of our elders in terms of seeing beyond the thinness of the story. Okay, what is the, you know, for example, what is the theme? What is the moral? What are the deeper insights? And how are we looking at that story as symbolic? How are we looking at the story as metaphoric? And then we say, oh, well, that makes perfect sense. Because when we conceive as physical beings, that can be easily connected to how we conceive ideas, or not conceive ideas, not conceive teachings, not conceive wisdom, you know, until we go to the Babalawo and are set to go to Obatala and change our ways and start minding our ebos and making our offerings, not just ebo offerings, but offerings of, like I said, put the worst of you on that altar as well. You know, burn that, you know, sacrifice that. Because if you're just doing the animals, you might as well be a farmer. You know, just be a farmer and be okay with it. Just be a butcher. Okay. But if you're not putting what you need to change in and on that, not just because somebody put it to your head, but because you put it in your head, that this is a life that's being taken for you to grow. But that doesn't mean it's going to happen. That bird is not going to make the difference. That Orisha is not going to make the difference. Oh, you may get a little, you know, oh, well, you know, something great happened. But if it didn't change who you are, it was just like watching something on TV you got all excited about and did something because you saw it on TV. You see? That transformation has to come from within. Transcendence is from within. And like you were saying about reading a book at a certain time and not getting it, I understand that there's people at certain stages who may not get it, but that doesn't mean that it's not there to be gotten.
Yes.
And as time goes on, from listening to the elders, it might be, okay, I never looked at it this way. I never thought about it this way. And especially now, I got to remember, I'm an Obatala priest as well.
Listen, I'm laughing because shout out to Baba Ogun Tolu, the Baba Ogun, man. I remember he was giving me some training. And I might have told you, I don't know if I told you that story or not, but it was hilarious. But what you just said, you triggered something that brought back a memory with me and him. I was on the mat and he was giving me some IFA training. And I remember he said, he showed me something that blew my mind of like, you know what I'm saying? Like, you know, some Awo, secrets or whatever. And like, when I looked at him, I'm like, damn, I was like, wow, so I never thought about it like that. And he leaned forward, he said, you wasn't supposed to. That's why it's called a secret. Brad Baba, I almost cried, man. It was so funny to me. But that's real. Like, that's the difference of having, you know, the seasoned, you know, veterans, man. Like, it's you can never be experienced, period. I don't care what nobody says. Experience trumps pretty much all, man. Like, for real, because what's the most impactful, most powerful lessons in life is experience. You know, I try to tell my youngers all the time, like, listen, I got 3 decades of experience. So it's like, you could be smarter than me. You could be more intelligent than me. There's so many more things you can and probably are or will be, but you'll never be able to be wiser than me because you will never surpass me with experience.
Yes.
So, you know what I mean? That's where I give thanks to us being able to have people like yourself come in and drop that type of wisdom, because we will never be able to surpass that, because we're not going to be able to run down the decades of wisdom and experience that you have, you know, on us. And I think that's where, you know, like I said, all this comes full circle in regards to, you know, everything that we talk about, man. It's like, because it's all cyclical, but it's like to be able to keep it all within the circle, you know, of unification and elevation. That's where I feel like, you know, it's a beautiful thing to witness, you know, a beautiful thing to be a part of.
Ashe. Multiple.
Yes, sir.
I'm
Well,
good, and I gave my last.
listen, yeah, the tribe still tribe in the comments, but yeah, we definitely gotta shut it down too, because I know I went longer than anticipated. I got a second win, I guess, because before we got on, I was dragging, you know, being up late working on everything else. But we're here now, so shout out to Nkosi, Fasagoon, Chiquita, Urban Gorilla. You know, yeah, the tribe was out there tribing, man. So shout out to everybody who came out tonight, you know, spend time with us and show love, Mr. Rodriguez, and you know, all the regulars, and then all the, you know, some of the new people who came through. We appreciate every single one of y'all. And as always, you know, it's nothing but love, appreciation, and respect, you know, Modupwe, no revolution. There's a lot of different, you know, faces and names that I saw today that I haven't seen before, but also the same ones that we see all the time. So I appreciate all y'all for stopping through and showing love. And Baba, you want to lead the tribe with anything on the way out?
Yeah, peace and love, man. You know, and see kindness as the absence of cruelty. You know.
Whoa! I'm sorry, Baba. One more time. We got to bring that one back again, man. That's for the people at the back. Let me get out the way.
See kindness as the absence of cruelty. You know, a lot of times we'd be kind is like taken as a soft thing. You understand? You know, and to be, you know, all up in and twisting and turning and, you know, being the most self-destructive seems to be like, well, you know, this is the way you make it in the world. But that's not what Ifa is teaching us. That's not what Ishishi is teaching us. That's some syncretism stuff, you know. Ifa is like in our sight, Ika Meiji. And it's like, you know, seek truthfulness, seek righteousness, you know, avert cruelty, avoid cruelty. You know? Mashika, don't be cruel. But see, the absence of cruelty is kindness, even if it's from a distance, even if it's just, you know, like, yo, peace, bro. But you know, I got you. I'm not going to be down on you like that. You know that. You know, these words we have to remember have been translated into English with very Eurocentric and Christian-like indoctrinated meaning. Yeah, connotation. Absolutely, brother. But see, we're going into Ifa Isheshe with a whole nother mindset. We're breaking out of that conditioning. And so that's why I'm saying, you know, kindness is the absence of cruelty. You know, yeah, sometimes you got to do what you got to do. But that doesn't mean you have to be cruel and wicked and always trying to, manipulate the situation. So that's what, those are my closing words, but they're also my opening words, as we're stepping into tomorrow, Shio Tito, Shio Dodo, Mashika. Be truthful, be righteous, and avoid being cruel. So I'll leave everyone with that, and please go back over this podcast because there are jewels all dropped all over the place. Okay, there's like you got to be panning for gold. You know what I mean? You got to be down in the mines to see the difference between the coal and the diamond. But you got to go in to see it. It ain't gonna be jumping up, and be jumping on you. So please look over this again. Take mental note, if nothing else. Okay, get the planner and start planning. Okay,
Yeah.
but the real Bible Lives, we're not setting this to do because it's like, trying to be a New York Times bestseller or whatever. These are tools. These are instruments of change. Okay, get the audiobook just to break into a new level of thought and creativity. The possibilities. Okay. Become open. We're stepping into tomorrow. We're stepping into 2025. Okay. And like Sankofa, take the time to look back at our historical height so that we can see beyond. But we can't see it if we're not standing on the shoulders of those who have built our empires and those who have brought about the greatness of Ifa and Isheshe, coming out of our spiritual center and capital, Ile Ife, in Nigeria. Ashe.
Ashe, oh yeah, that's powerful. Yeah, I'm not even gonna try to. I'm just gonna let that mic drop. Just let it hit the deck. Blam. Man, shout out to Ifa Segun, Chiquita, and Kosi. Like I said, the tribe and urban gorilla. Man, appreciate you. He says it's his first time. I'm pretty sure it's a dude. But Urban Gorilla Apparel says their first live and happy to be here and always checking out the channel. So we appreciate you, bro, and I definitely look forward to making it do what it do again. So I will definitely have some more coming out throughout the weekend. And the tribe will definitely link up. I'm thinking Saturday, but I'll put the messages in the the channel in the community tab for sure. I'll put the links and everything in there. I'm looking forward to building with y'all. As a matter of fact, I'm thinking about Baba. I don't know, man. I might do a live for the channel too, man. Like to break down what some of what I'm gonna share with the community in regards to, like you said, with the the vision and preparing ourselves with the vision and then utilizing Ifa Sheshe, to the best of our abilities. And there's so much that can be used to help us to, get to the next level. So I want to really make sure that we all are, no one left behind, like Sankofa. You know what I mean? Like we got to go back and get, those and make sure that we're all traveling to the next phase, together. So, I'm here. We're here now. So we're ready to get it in. We're ready to get it cracking, Baba. I appreciate you. Words of wisdom, as always, dropping knowledge bombs all over the place and dropping mics and gems and jewels and diamonds all over the place, man. Listen, so I feel like I feel like the people marching behind Mansa Musa back in the day, we got to pick up some of this gold and some of these jewels and just dished out, just left hanging around, hanging around, man, trekking through the continent. For real. But yeah, it's been real, family. So we appreciate y'all. We'll definitely, y'all will see us again real soon. And as always, thank you for the love and support. We appreciate y'all. And on the way out, don't forget to please like, share, and subscribe. And also, check out the products, check out the websites. The link to African Spiritual Experience. We got a lot going on over there. Check out the Temple of the Mystic Path with Baba, Karade's site with the all the ebooks, as well as the Place a Nice audiobook, is there. So we definitely, we look forward to the love and support in the future, as well as from what we've already received. And as always, tribe, keep tribing, man. We appreciate y'all. So it ain't over until we win. United we stand, divided we fall. We out, family. Peace. Modupwe.
Ẹni tó gbàgbé ilé sàpò ìyàgbọ́ tẹ́ǹtì ẹni takísà ní tàtàn ò bá padà sílé anítìjàkọ ẹja lọ pé eégún mo sí ẹni gbẹ́rẹ́ ìpàkọ́. Forsake not your ancestors and praise your